We've had a wild few weeks of jet-setting, sailing and partying, but now that we're back home in French Polynesia, Indioko is letting us know she's jealous for our attention. With a list a mile long of unexpected repairs and maintenance, we've spent the week curled up in tight spaces, working late into the night to try and find solutions for all our systems on board. Some might say this is what boat life is all about. And while it has always taken up more than its fair share of our waking and sometimes sleeping hours, there comes a point where we just need a break.
We have a bit of a plan. Now that we are here in Wahine, there's so much to see and so little time. It is insane. So we've decided there's a break in the weather. It's been raining pretty much non-stop since we got here, but today is sort of sunny. So we're gonna head around the north end of this island. Wahine is kind of made up of two islands. We're on the north one right now, but we're over on the west side. So we're gonna go around the top. We've heard there's like a historical site of some sort, and there might even be a museum that we can go visit just to try and learn something about what we're seeing when we go to the historical site. But it's a bit of a walk, so we're going to try and catch this gap in the rain and get ourselves all the way around. And then knowing our luck, it'll be blazing sunshine all day anyway.
Crash landed.
Nearly died. We're rocking two painters right now on the dinghy because we got back from BVI and our friend Brian had made up this massive, long floating line because we've just been using like an old piece of halyard or something. Problem is, I keep forgetting to take the old one off, so we only have the new one. So right now we're using both. But that's just, you know, extra tripping hazards.
I also don't know if you can see down here, but our latest upgrade to the dinghy is something that Ian has been wanting to do for ages. And yesterday it rained so much that he gave in and installed a little bilge pump in the dinghy. So now when we leave it in the water, because we're out for the whole day, or we just haven't quite lifted it yet onto the davits, it doesn't need to overflow, and then we don't have to lift a really heavy dinghy full of water because it just pumps itself out. It's great.
Magical! It's a little bit messy, but it'll do for now. It's a problem for future us.
So with my ever-present optimism, we are setting off on a briny hike, but I don't think it can really be called a hike today because I don't think we're even going uphill. There's basically...
That doesn't stop you getting lost.
There's a mountain here and we're just walking around the bottom of it. I know exactly where we're going. We're just going to follow one road. There is one turning that we have to not take and then we'll get there. So we cannot possibly go wrong, and I definitely know exactly where we're going and it's all going to be wonderful.
Just to be clear, are we planning on doing a circumnavigation of the whole island? Because if you're not taking a turning, knowing you're like, no, it can't be this one, as well as this one, as well as this one, and we end up back here.
Exactly, we're on an island. You're always going to end up back where you started.
So it's kind of funny, we were just wandering along and trying to compare this island, because this is our first experience, really, of what's called the Society Islands. We've been in the Tuamotus, we've been in the Marquesas, we've been all the way down in the Gambier, and now we're in the kind of almost the last block of islands, the Societies, which are on the west side of the country. And what's really strange is this one feels just a little bit like Nuku'hiva back up in the Marquesas, which is like, I don't know, 1,000 miles away. And it just has the same sort of vibe. It's like a busy day in Nuku'hiva in the Marquesas because there's more cars, but the kind of the vibe feels just as, I don't know, rural, I suppose is the word?
Yeah, I think the difference from the Tuamotus is that like more people live here. The Tuamotus are so remote, and the only people really who ever visit the Tuamotus are sailors. Whereas in the Marquesas, and here particularly, you have cruisers coming through, but you also have a lot of tourism for people who are flying in. Bora Bora is only two islands away. Tahiti is not that far away. It's probably less than an hour's flight to get from Tahiti to here.
But yeah.
So yeah, it's a lot more kind of populated and busy, and now I'm hearing all of these birds flying around our heads as well.
This is insane. And we're right on the main road that joins the village, well, up to this remote place that Bernie insists exists. So it is busy with cars, as you can probably hear and see. But equally, just on the other side of the road there, we've got like lush forest. Not quite rainforest, but forest. So obviously all the wildlife is loving it.
Here's our first test of the major junction of Wahine. I think this way is to the airport. I'm going to go this way and we'll see where we end up. So since we made that turn, we are definitely kind of off the beaten track slightly. There's no pavement or sidewalk for us to be on, but there is a store, and that is one of my only 2 landmarks. There are 2 stores that we're going to walk past, and that's the first one. So I'm going to claim that we're still going the right way.
I have an odd feeling that the people standing outside that shop are going to laugh when they see us walking past again. And
In
again.
3 minutes' time.
And again. Okay, I'm not going to lie, we've been walking a lot longer than I expected. This is us heading probably into hour 2 at this point.
Yeah, that's fair.
And we have not seen any indication of any museums, trails. We are still seeing life, but it's just driving past us at high speed. So I'm starting to lose faith in this journey.
I have moved from walking on the tarmac road onto the grass just because my feet were getting so sore from walking on a hard surface.
Yeah, we're starting to feel it. So
I don't know what our
hopefully
landmark
this will
is
work
to
out.
know when we've gone too far. That's the problem.
yeah, well that's the problem because we walked past the last sort of obvious landmark. I think I might even still be able to see it in the tree line there, is a big kind of inland lake thing. All lakes are inland. A kind of lake thing, which is kind of the north end of the island. And we need to get to the other end of that lake before we can see the museum.
But that's true. If we go past the end of the lake, I think that is going too far.
Ah, okay. So we're also not conclusive on what we need to achieve here between the 2 of us, so...
Maybe we'll go for like 10 more minutes and then randomly turn right into the forest.
That was so funny.
Well, this is why I like briny hikes, because fair enough, I don't always know what's going to happen.
We are completely lost.
But lovely things happen as a result of that. So we were just walking along and a car pulled in front of us, and 2 people got out and introduced themselves as Ollie and Rebecca. And they just said, hey, we watch your channel, we've seen all your videos. We're just here on holiday from the UK. We didn't think we'd bump into you, but I think they drove past us and saw us filming and recognized the
Somehow
hair.
spotted who we were, I guess.
And turned around and came for a chat. So that was really lovely.
That's really cool. And Ollie has his own vlog going as well. So we're going to check that out when we get back. And if I can find it, we'll put a link up. Because, you know, everyone should see what everyone's doing in these travels. They're kind of doing all sorts of adventure travel stuff, it seems. So very cool.
Yeah, so they've just been here diving. They're heading off to Bora Bora, then over
first.
to Fakarava. So we were just getting jealous about our dives in Fakarava and what they're about to see next week. But
yeah, we might have made them a little bit bored when we're like, oh, you have to do this when you go there. And when you see the shark called Cookie, make sure to wave hello from us.
Definitely.
And find that other cave and say hello to the bump. It got very involved. Very detailed, granular detail stories being shared that they will probably have ignored.
yes, I'm sure they will. Yeah. But hey, nice to meet you guys, and have a nice holiday.
Enjoy.
We will try and find this trail that I keep talking about.
Alleged trail. I'm a little bit nervous.
Why?
Well, we think that might be the museum that we're aiming toward for our turn-off. Is this the fastest way?
Yes! How cool would that be to arrive by outrigger?
Proper, like, Amazing Race style. Canoe your way to the nearest museum, introduce yourself, and they will give you a clue. I just want to point something out to you that it's starting to rain. We've been walking for just under 2 hours, I reckon. And Brownie looks at this and goes, oh yeah, this is probably the trail. That's a phone box.
And there's barbed wire over there.
And there's barbed wire on the path. So this is why we don't always follow Brownie on the Brownie hikes. We are going to carry on a little bit further because we think we spied the museum. If we can get to the museum, we can at least ask somebody who might know something about where we're supposed to be going. And they might send us back here. But
They will, I'm confident. We're going to go to the museum, we're going to have a look around, hide from the rain, and then we're going to come back, and this is going to be the trail. And it's foresty, so we'll be dry. It'll be great.
It'll be dry. Do they provide wire cutters?
No, you have to bring your own.
I kind of can't believe it, but I think we may have actually found the museum.
Who would even have thought?
Nobody watching, that's for sure. It's pretty impressive. It's actually this really cool house out on stilts. And everyone who's here has obviously been hiding out from the rain, and all the shoes are being left outside because they're all soggy.
So maybe we're about to have the whole place to ourselves because everyone's just leaving now that the rain has stopped.
Classic.
What have you found?
I mean, this is seriously cool. You talk about us improvising stuff. This is a selection of like fishing hooks and lures that are all being made from mother of pearl. So they've literally like carved mother of pearl into a sharp hook and then tied it on using coconuts, like palm tree twine. So the fibers from the coconut leaves and palm tree leaves. And that's what they used to go fishing back in the day. But these lures are like, they're like the ones we use.
It's seriously impressive. Makes me think we should really be making our own lures now.
Well, if you do the making, I'll do the fishing, because I think I would pretty much chew my hands up trying to carve ones like this.
This is my inspiration.
Look at the ones with the shells and coconuts.
Pretty cool, huh?
This is pretty cool, huh?
So we don't really tend to stop in museums a lot when we travel around, but this one is amazing. It cost us $2.50 each to come in, and they have so much information and like the legends of this place, and then artifacts as well that I don't know when they date from, like those axes and...
I mean, proper lithic period is what I read on a sign, but basically...
Days of yore.
I think 800 AD.
Yeah, this whole building is like really traditional. It is so beautiful on the side of the lake here with palm tree, what's the word? Thatching on the roof and a fully woven floor. It's amazing.
And sorry we're talking quietly, but it's such a nice peaceful place. I feel a bit guilty talking. But it turns out that like way back in the day, historically, kings and royalty would have to learn how to fly a kite to demonstrate their command over the nature, the sky and the wind.
I think we should still have that rule in place now.
I think I'd love to do that one. I could be royalty. But apparently Hiro, Hiro, who's like a demigod in Polynesian history, apparently he entered into a competition and did so well that his kite flew up into the sky so high, it became the constellation of Scorpion.
Oh, it's amazing. I love stuff like that.
Yeah, it was made from banana trees.
Oh, well, there's a tip for if you want to make a kite then. Go find a banana tree.
There you go.
Good luck.
Okay, so while we were in the BVI, we hung out with Kiana, who has a type of catamaran called the worm. It's kind of legendary. It's a very simple design of cat that's all held together with ropes. I kind of feel like this is what she would lust after. She'd love to have one of these.
This is basically her dream boat, isn't it?
Yeah, look at your cabin. Got 2 hulls.
It's got everything you need.
Now that was actually very good. Who'd have thunk that going to a museum full of information and history?
You'd actually learn things.
Yeah, crazy. And there's a lot to learn. There's a lot of history, but there's also a lot of like religious history and myths and stuff.
Yeah, so there's like ruins all around this place, and basically this whole site is like an old religious epicenter. This used to be the capital of the island, and terrifyingly I learned that where there was like covered areas, that's where that's where they did the human sacrifice.
Even stalling your words with nerves.
That's it, I'm so terrified.
So interestingly, before this became the capital, there was an area up on the hillside which had about a millennium's worth of accommodation. People had been living there, farming there and all sorts. And basically a couple of brothers who ran the place one day decided to carve up the island and decide who owned what part, and that made the lagoon area way more appealing. So they all came down off the mountain. So there is a site somewhere up on the hill here at like 600 meters up by a crater that you could get up to, but honestly, I haven't got a clue where to start to try and find it.
That's my hike I wanted to do.
We're gonna die.
Yeah, so the lake was owned by the royal family because it was, I guess, the most profitable area to live in. It had all the good fish and stuff like that. And then these areas, the stones at the front were sort of representative of the gods and the ancestors that the local people would come and pray to. And then you can see these like smaller areas. I don't know how well it comes out on camera, but there's like some raised stones that are marking out the different areas, and each thing kind of had a different purpose in the religious festival.
So this larger squared off area had actually a coverage of some sort, a little hut. And that was the...
Oh, this is the fire pit for the Bernie people.
This is the burning of people fire pit. This is basically the human sacrifice area. Out here would have been a table to prepare your feasts, and like local fish and meat and vegetables, and people would be put on the table and then brought in for preparation.
Oh,
and then this
delightful.
was the kind of altar area in front.
Yeah.
And they would have big wooden carved sticks that were kind of like sculptures towards guardians, of like god guardians and stuff. that would decorate the area. It's also going to rain in a minute, so I'm going to run over there for shelter. Oh, muddy.
He wasn't kidding. I waited with the camera to take the shot, and now I'm getting soaking, and it's really muddy on the floor, so I'm sinking everywhere. Somebody's looking smug over there.
Welcome.
I did not time that right.
I did. We're getting a bit abused. We didn't realise the sign is hanging on ropes, and so the wind just gusted and smacked us both in the back. History beating us over the head with it, literally. That's what they used to say in school, wasn't it?
Well, maybe getting hit over the head by history worked, because we actually stopped and read the sign. Most of it is in Tahitian and French, but they have very kindly put some in English. So we have just read about the Princess Hotuhiva, who lived on Raiatea, which is the island next door, and then her father tried to marry her off to somebody, and she didn't quite fancy that. So she hid in a drum, and it got put in the sea, whether she knew it was going to or not. She floated over here and landed on the island and didn't tell anyone who she was, because she was scared that they were going to send her back to the island to marry this guy. But they all kind of figured out she wasn't telling them who she was, so she must be somebody interesting. So they forced her to go to this festival and dance, and a god of love fell in love with her, and they had 8 children, which apparently then became the 8 regions of this island, which were divided up by kings later on. So there we go, we've learned something today.
I mean, haven't we all been there? Just your average run-of-the-mill story, getting bundled into a drum.
Well, the rain does not look like it's going to end anytime soon, and I am prepared to admit defeat. I think we may call it a day, give up on the hike to go up the mountain through the forest past the barbed wire that I found, which is definitely, absolutely the right way to go. We'll do that another day, perhaps. Anyway, we've got places to be. We'll try and thumb a lift back to Indy and see if we get there without drowning.
All right, so we are zipping down to the south end of the island now, which is actually interesting because Wahine is kind of 2 islands. There's the one right beside us here, and then over there in the distance you can see the second island. They are kind of joined underwater. Obviously, there's a shallow section. They call it a submerged isthmus. Basically, it's joined under the water. It's not that deep, and even at low tide, sometimes you can see how they're joined. So we can't sail through this gap, but I did learn in the museum that there's a story attached to it. So this gap between the 2 islands means that this is Wahine Nui is the big island at the top, the North Island, and Wahine Iti is the one below, the South Island. And apparently, as legend has it, my old mate Hiro, H-I-R-O, he was sailing in his canoe with his brothers, got tired and decided to go to bed, and told his brothers just to keep an eye out and make sure everything was safe. The canoe was flying along at a great speed, doing really, really well, and the brothers were just really pleased that they were sailing so fast, and the wind had picked up and filled the sails that they didn't bother waking their brother. And their canoe cut right through Wahine, cutting it into 2 separate islands. And then Hiro woke up just in time to see that they'd sailed right through an island and cut it in 2. And so tried to throw out his anchor and I think a bow as well to try and stop their canoe before they carried on, because they'd gone straight through their destination. Thankfully, I think we're going to be okay, although Brownie is on the helm right now, so you never know. So we're not sailing through the gap.
No, I was very tempted.
No, we're not sailing through the gap. It's too shallow.
But it's got marker pins on it. We could totally fit and just do a little loop around the island and then carry on.
I think those marker pins are for dugout canoes. Outriggers that don't have keels.
Where's your sense of adventure?
How's your fiberglassing feeling these days? You ready?
Sail up onto a sandbar and wait for the tide to go away and do all the repairs we need to. It'll be great.
Yeah, the tide difference here is about a foot.
So we're just coming into the mooring field down here. Friends of ours came a couple of weeks ago, and there is space to anchor out in the sandy bit near the reef, but apparently the people here prefer it if you take the moorings, and they're all free and provided by the government, so they should be in good condition. We'll definitely check that. So we are going to try and find a mooring. Well, there are 1, 2, 3, there's less than 10 boats here, so there definitely should be space for us, but it's really hard to see anything, so hopefully we can find one.
Cool. You're locked off on port.
Nice.
Locked off on starboard.
Good job.
Good job.
All right, I'll back down and check it. Nice, we're like right off the shelf. Well, it might have been raining all afternoon, but suddenly the sky has cleared enough that we can see Raiatea like on the horizon here. And I know that when the sun comes out, the water will be even more amazing, but the color here is just so beautiful, and we are right on the edge of a really, really shallow sandy patch, sandbar thing. So we should be just about far enough away that we don't touch ground, but beautiful views. This is so perfect.
The sun is out and it's actually a really nice day, and I'm very excited because our friend Olivier, who knows this island and this part of the world really, really well, he's actually organised a little treat for us. Over in one of the buildings just over here on the beach, we're not quite sure which one yet, there is supposed to be a kind of traditional Tahitian lunch, essentially. And we don't know a lot about it. We just know that it is well worth getting there early, because apparently before the food is served, there's lots to see and it's quite exciting. So we're going to jump in the dinghy, head over to the beach, because we are actually running late.
So we got here just in time because there's like 30 or 40 people here for lunch, and they sort of present the food and like unearth it from this oven that's like buried in the sand. And we just got here in time to see it all happen.
Cameron time, which means we arrived at the moment. So we arrived and the lady's like, do you have a reservation? We said, oh, our friend Olivier, oh, quick, and just pulled us around the corner to this whole scene. So there's like this big structure, and in the ground they've got these 2 giant pits full of volcanic rocks, and they've been cooking lunch in these earth ovens for a couple of hours, I think.
Yeah, I think all the food has been in there for 3 hours, and there's like meat and there's vegetables and there's fruit, there's dessert and stuff in there. I think there's some bread. I'm not entirely sure. Lots of it was like wrapped up in banana leaves and little baskets that they'd made. So they've now gone to then transfer it all onto the table. So we'll find out what food there is in a minute, but it was cool to see.
Seriously cool, yeah. So we'll go find out what happens next. I think unpackaging and displaying is the next stage, which apparently takes a little while, understandably so. It's fresh out the oven. I'll try everything. Merci beaucoup. Merci.
Merci.
Okay, this is insane. I don't know what I have on my plate. I have everything. We've got fish, we've got pork, we've got chicken, we've got breadfruit, there's coconut bread, there's other things that I can't identify.
Yummy goodness, I think.
Looks delicious.
Yeah.
So good.
Dive in.
Yeah. Where should we start?